All right, listener name. You ready to jump into this crazy driver shuffle going on in Formula One?
Oh, yeah. It's nuts.
I know you've been following it all season long, and the 2025 grid is looking absolutely wild.
It really is shaping up to be something else.
This year we had a pretty stable lineup.
Yeah, surprisingly so.
But now it seems like every single contract is expiring at the same time.
It really is quite remarkable.
It's not just like a few little changes here and there. We're talking like almost half the grid could be switching teams.
Yeah.
We already said goodbye to Ricciardo mid-season.
Mid-season, yep.
And Hulkenberg, and then guys like Magnussen, Grosjean, even Perez are probably going to be out by the end of the year.
Yeah, you're looking at some really big names potentially leaving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, we've got 3 rookies coming into the scene.
3 rookies, that's right.
Which is kind of unheard of in Formula One.
It's incredibly unusual.
To have this much youth coming in at once.
Yeah.
Usually these teams cling to experience.
Yeah, you're right. They usually prioritize that over almost everything.
Like it's a life raft or something.
Right. It's really interesting to see this shift.
Yeah.
One of the sources I was looking at called it a youthquake.
Ooh, youthquake.
And they pointed out that this is partly due to the timing of the contracts.
Ah, so that explains why 2024 seems so calm.
Yeah, on the surface, it was all quiet. But under the surface, everybody was waiting.
Waiting for those contracts to run out.
Exactly. And it's created this chain reaction.
Yeah.
This cascade across the whole grid. You know, one driver move triggers another and another and another.
It's like a domino effect.
Yeah, exactly like dominoes.
So even Hamilton's 2-year deal with Mercedes
Right.
had that break clause after this season.
Which is a key factor here, right?
Yeah.
A break clause, for those who don't know, allows a driver or a team to end the contract early.
Oh, interesting.
Under certain conditions. So even though he signed for 2 years, that break clause introduced this element of uncertainty.
Right.
And it kind of rippled through the whole driver market.
Yeah. It's like a butterfly effect.
Yeah. You could say that.
But it's not just contracts.
Right.
It feels like there's this undeniable pressure coming from the younger generation.
Oh, absolutely.
These kids are coming up through the ranks.
Tearing up the feeders series.
And they're demanding to be in Formula One.
They want their shot.
Like guys, Behrman, Antonelli.
Yeah, they're making it impossible to ignore them.
They're just too good.
Their performance has been stellar.
Especially Antonelli.
Yeah, I mean, he's dominating the Formula 2 championship.
Yeah.
Showing a level of maturity in racecraft that's way beyond his years.
And when you have that kind of talent knocking on the door,
You have to take notice.
teams have to pay attention.
You can't just ignore it.
It's been interesting to see how many sources have highlighted this changing attitude towards younger drivers.
It's a real shift.
For years, it felt like Formula One was so risk-averse,
Incredibly so.
and they always prioritized experience.
Over raw talent.
But now it seems like they're realizing that these young guys have potential.
Right. Well, it's not just a sudden faith in youth.
Right.
I think it's also because driver development has evolved.
Okay.
Young drivers today are incredibly well prepared.
Okay. Interesting.
They've got so much simulator experience. Early exposure to F1 teams, access to coaching programs.
So it's more than just talent.
Yeah.
It's like the whole pipeline has been upgraded.
That's a great way to put it.
And, I think one driver in particular has accelerated this trend.
Who are you thinking of?
Frederick Behrman.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's become like a
He's
symbol
poster child
of this new wave of talent.
The Behrman domino effect.
Oh, yeah, I saw that article.
It's crazy to think that a driver who didn't even have the best Formula 2 season could have such an impact.
Yeah, but his performance as a stand-in driver for Ferrari really shook things up.
Silverstone qualifies 4th ahead of Sainz.
Like, where does that come from?
And then
Jeddah.
Scoring crucial points.
Potentially swinging the championship.
It's like he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And now everybody is questioning their assumptions about young drivers.
Exactly.
And teams that were hesitant to promote rookies are now scrambling to find the next Behrman.
Yeah. It's like everyone's trying to catch up.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the speed, right?
Right.
It's the adaptability.
Right.
The racecraft.
His ability to handle the pressure.
Right. He challenged all the conventional wisdom about what young drivers are capable of.
So Behrman is this unexpected catalyst for change.
Right.
And then you've got the Hamilton story.
Oh, yeah, that throws another wrench in the mix.
His move to Ferrari is huge news.
Huge news.
But then Mercedes promotes Antonelli.
Wow.
It's like they're going all in on youth.
Yeah, it's a bold strategy.
It's interesting because in Toto Wolff's book, He revealed that even before Hamilton left,
Yeah.
Mercedes was already thinking about his eventual decline
They were planning for the future.
and preparing for a future without him.
It's a smart move from a team perspective.
I mean, that's kind of cold-blooded.
Well, you know.
But does this mean that we're seeing the beginning of the end for Hamilton?
It's hard to say for sure.
It's too early to tell.
We have to remember that Mercedes has been struggling with their car.
Yeah.
Both Hamilton and Russell have been inconsistent.
Yeah, making it hard to judge their true performance.
You don't know if this is the driver or the car.
So we can't write him off just yet.
Not completely.
The car could be masking his true potential.
Right.
But let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Every driver eventually reaches a point where their performance dips.
It's inevitable.
And teams have to plan for that.
It's just the nature of the sport.
And we can't ignore Russell.
No, he's been impressive.
He's been putting in some really impressive drives,
Consistently challenging Hamilton.
out-qualifying him on several occasions.
Yeah, his performance is definitely a factor.
In Mercedes' decision-making.
It shows that they're not completely reliant on a veteran like Hamilton. They believe that they can win with young talent.
And Russell is proving that.
Absolutely.
So we've got this perfect storm.
Yeah.
Expiring contracts,
Wow.
rising stars,
Oh, wow.
shifting attitudes.
The total shakeup.
A shakeup of the status quo.
The old guard is being challenged.
But what about the drivers who are being pushed out?
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin.
Do any of them deserve a little sympathy?
Well, it's a tough business.
Yeah.
I definitely feel for Bottas.
Yeah.
He's a solid driver stuck with a poor car at Alfa Romeo
It's hard to shine.
when you're fighting at the back.
Poor Bottas.
Yeah.
In his little sympathy corner.
Right.
But what about guys like Magnussen and Hülkenberg?
Yeah.
They've had multiple stints in Formula One.
Right. But they haven't quite made their mark.
They've had their chances, but they haven't consistently delivered
You need to be performing at your peak
in the sport.
to stay in the game.
It's interesting to compare them to Hamilton.
Yeah, he's obviously had a dip in form this year.
But his past successes give him a lot more leeway.
Of course, when you've got 7 world championships,
Yeah.
you've earned a certain level of trust.
Patience from the teams.
They're more willing to work through a difficult period.
With a driver who's proven himself time and time again.
Right.
So it seems like this generational shift is happening.
It's definitely underway,
Teams are embracing young talent.
more readily than ever before.
It's a bold gamble,
Yeah,
but it could be a sign of exciting things to come.
I think so too.
We'll have to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, who knows what the future holds.
But it's definitely going to be interesting.
Absolutely.
Buckle up, everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride.
It's going to be a wild ride.
I can't wait to see what happens next season.
Me too.
You know, it's fascinating to think about what this means for the future of Formula One.
Yeah.
With all this young blood coming in.
Totally. Like, they've been handed the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
But there's a catch. I'm sure listener name, being the tech enthusiast that you are, you're probably wondering how these rookies are going to adapt
Right.
to the complexity of these cars.
To all the tech.
It's not just about speed anymore.
No, it's so much more than that.
You got to have the brains, too.
Right. And yeah, these guys have grown up with simulators.
Oh, yeah.
It's like second nature to them.
All right.
One of the articles I read even suggested that they might be more receptive
Okay.
to using simulator data
Uh-huh.
to like fine-tune their driving style
Interesting.
and race strategy,
Oh,
which is something that some of the older drivers might resist.
really?
Yeah.
So it's not just about raw talent. It's about how they approach the whole
The whole technical aspect.
technical aspect. But even with all the simulator prep in the world,
Yeah.
nothing can really prepare you
For the real thing.
for the pressure of an F1 race weekend.
And
It's a whole other ballgame.
it really is.
From the junior formulas.
Yeah.
Imagine being 19,
Oh my gosh.
stepping into a Ferrari,
Right.
millions of people watching.
The weight of history on your
That
shoulders.
pressure must be insane.
It takes a special kind of mental fortitude
Yeah.
to handle all that.
It's not just the media either.
Yeah.
It's managing expectations,
Working with a team of engineers
making split-second decisions.
under immense stress.
That's where the experience factor comes in.
Absolutely.
It's not just about knowing the tracks and the car.
No.
It's about having that battle-hardened mentality.
Knowing how to handle the ups and downs.
The ups and downs of an F1 season.
Exactly.
You gotta be tough.
Yeah, mentally and physically.
So these young drivers, they need a strong support system.
Oh, absolutely.
Experienced team managers,
Driver coaches
maybe even a sports psychologist
could be helpful.
to help them navigate all the challenges.
The challenges of F1.
But let's not forget about the opportunities.
Right.
These guys are getting a chance to live their dream,
Yeah.
to race wheel to wheel with the best.
An incredible opportunity.
And not just to compete, but to potentially reshape the sport.
I mean, look at Behrman the Jeddah.
Yeah.
He wasn't just filling a seat.
Yeah.
He was influencing the championship battle
Those points could be the difference.
at the end of the season.
He went from stand-in to potential kingmaker.
That's right.
It's forcing teams to rethink their whole approach.
To driver development.
You can't just rely on poaching established talent.
No.
You have to invest in academies, nurture young drivers, build for the future.
Gal, new paradigm.
We're already seeing teams like Ferrari and Red Bull doubling down on their young driver program.
Scouting talent earlier, giving them more support.
Creating those pathways to Formula One.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win, right?
Yeah. In theory.
Teams get fresh talent, young drivers get their shot.
Right.
But let's be real, not every rookie is going to succeed.
It's a tough sport.
Some will rise to the occasion, others will crumble.
Under pressure.
It's survival of the fittest.
That's what makes it exciting.
We've got those established veterans.
Hamilton, Verstappen, trying to hold on to their crowns.
And this hungry pack of young wolves.
Snapping at their heels.
It's going to be a battle.
Speaking of which, what about Red Bull?
Oh, yeah.
They've got Verstappen locked in,
Of course.
but Perez's contract is up.
At the end of the year,
Do they stick with experience or promote someone like Lawson or Vips?
it's a tough call.
What do you think?
Well, Perez is solid,
Uh-huh.
reliable teammate for Verstappen.
Yeah.
Consistently scores points, plays the team game.
But
But Red Bull is ruthless
Yeah.
when it comes to performance.
if they think one of those young drivers can win,
They won't hesitate?
to make a change.
No.
I mean, that's how they got Verstappen. They
Oh.
took a chance on a teenager.
And it paid off.
Big time.
Big time.
But promoting a young driver to Red Bull
Oh, yeah?
comes with its own pressures,
Huge pressure.
sky-high expectations.
A history of demanding the best.
It's a sink-or-swim
They're
environment.
make it or you break. So it's a high-stakes gamble.
For sure.
Do they play it safe with Perez or roll the dice on a young driver?
It's a tough decision.
I know, listener name, you love those underdog stories.
Yeah.
I bet you're rooting for one of those Red Bull Juniors.
It would be great to see them get their chance.
They could really shake up the championship order.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget about Mercedes.
Oh, yeah. They went all in on youth.
Promoting Antonelli.
He's got a lot to prove.
Huge potential.
Can he handle the pressure
Can he live up to the legacy?
of drivers like Hamilton and Schumacher?
It's a massive step up.
It really is.
But it shows Mercedes' faith.
In their driver development program.
They believe he can succeed.
At the highest level.
It's creating this ripple effect.
Across the grid.
Teams further down are taking notice.
Yeah.
They might have a better chance at finding a champion,
By investing in young talent.
rather than trying to lure away established drivers.
It's a smarter strategy in the long run.
It's creating a more dynamic driver market,
More fluid.
which is ultimately good for the sport.
I think so, too.
It makes it more unpredictable.
More exciting.
We could see some real surprises next season.
Oh, yeah.
Young drivers making their mark.
Shaking up the established order. It's going to be awesome.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
For sure.
Formula One has always been steeped in tradition,
Right.
but these young guys are shaking things up
They're challenging the status quo.
and creating this sense of anticipation
For the future.
for what's to come.
Exactly.
We've really been digging into this youth movement in Formula One.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating discussion.
And it's clear it's not just like a fad.
No.
It's a fundamental change.
It's like watching a new chapter unfold.
Yeah.
And knowing how much you love the history of F1 listener name,
Right?
I think you'll find this particularly interesting.
Yeah.
For decades, we've seen this pattern.
Yeah.
You know, a few teams, a few drivers kind of controlling the narrative.
Right. The same old names at the top.
But now,
Yeah.
this influx of young talent, it could really disrupt that.
Shake things up a bit.
Yeah, like a changing of the guard.
The teams that have been comfortable at the top,
They might suddenly find themselves fighting tooth and nail
yeah, against these hungry young drivers.
on the teams that have embraced them.
Yeah.
It's not just about raw talent, though.
Right.
These young guys bring a different perspective.
A new approach.
They've grown up in the digital age, immersed in data and simulations and back.
So that could lead to a more strategic style of racing.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Where every move is meticulously planned.
Interesting.
I wonder how that will clash
Yeah.
with the more instinctive styles of some of the veterans.
Oh, yeah. Like Hamilton's known for that, right?
Exactly.
Could we see like a generational battle?
Imagine Bierman, who's so good with data,
Yeah.
going up against someone like Hamilton.
Who relies on instinct.
It would be a fascinating tactical battle.
And it's not just driving styles.
Oh, it affects the whole team.
Teams might have to rethink everything.
Their car development, their pit strategies, their whole approach.
It's like everything's being reevaluated.
Teams can't just rely on what they've always done.
They gotta adapt.
Be more agile. Embrace new ideas.
This youth movement is forcing them to evolve.
It's like a natural selection process.
That teams that can integrate these young drivers
And harness their talent.
and adapt to these new approaches.
They're the ones that will thrive.
The others might get left behind.
The stakes are high.
It's not just about winning races anymore.
It's about shaping the future.
The teams that get it right,
Could establish dynasties.
that dominate for years to come.
Imagine a team like Alfa Romeo
Struggling Alpha
suddenly finding the next Verstappen.
for Leclerc.
It could change everything for them.
And that's what makes it so exciting for the fans.
It's unpredictable.
We could see underdogs rising to the top.
New rivalries, new champions.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
Formula One has always been about tradition.
But now,
These young guys are shaking things up,
creating this buzz.
and a sense of anticipation.
We don't know what's going to happen.
The future is wide open.
It's not just the on-track action either.
No.
These young drivers, they bring a different energy.
A new personality.
They're engaging with fans on social media.
They're pushing boundaries.
Expressing themselves.
It's a fresh perspective.
It's like they're breaking down the barriers.
Between the drivers and the fans.
Making Formula One more accessible.
More relatable.
And that's so
The
important
long-term health of the sport.
to attract new fans.
The next generation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Into Formula One's youth movement.
I think it's safe to say we're at a turning point.
A pivotal moment.
The old guard is being challenged,
New stars are rising.
and the future is full of possibilities.
It's a time of transition, evolution, excitement.
Formula One is embracing change.
And it's making for a thrilling spectacle.
So listener name, you're witnessing a revolution.
In real time.
The next few seasons are going to be incredibly.
The most exciting and unpredictable we've ever seen.
So buckle up
Enjoy the ride.
and get ready for a new generation of champions.
It's a fascinating time to be a Formula One fan.
The future is unwritten.
And these young drivers are holding the pen